that we wanted to see earlier on.
And I love that because we've actually seen them trying to go towards this protect the AD sort of style where it's like 4 tanks with, you know, Huanfeng on usually misfortune, but on pretty much anything. And we've seen that they execute that so bad. They do a lot better in these chaotic skirmishes and not something that really needs a stationary setup, front-to-back team fight. You know, that sort of gameplay. That's not where Suning shines.
Just reminded everyone, Suning are no longer in the running for playoffs, but they can upset RNG. RNG, the highest seeding they can get is 6th. And no matter what, RNG will be starting in round 1 of playoffs for the first time in their playoff history. Here for RNG, they do need wins, though. They need to show us that they are the team worth taking into playoffs and teams worth looking at without a shadow of a doubt. As we move into game 1, and Lyric, we have another Galio with Predator mid, just like we saw in Doomby a week ago.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting because it's just all about getting towards your side lanes faster, but LeBlanc is already a pretty hard matchup in the early phase of the game, so not having something like an Aftershock that can make that more bearable is going to be really tough, and I'm not quite sure you need the Predator when you do have the ultimate so you can get to side lanes no matter what.
Can I just say the interaction I saw with Doomby and Predator is he would use Predator, then use Shield of Durand, and the movement speed you get just to run in the enemy with a massive taunt almost feels like the flash taunt of the past. So that's something fun to look forward to as Xiaolongbao starts on his red buff here. Opposite side of the Rift, SOFM with Predator on the Trundle has actually gone for his blue buff start as well.
Yep, so SOFM as well going more towards this heavy ganking style with Trundle. But when you look at these lanes, you don't really have much opportunity in the bot lane. Top lane is a tank matchup, so you can look there early, but as the game progresses, it's going to be a lot harder. And in the mid 2v2, that's somewhere you could look early, but again, once you get a few more levels, Xiaohu's going to have a lot of survivability through his W, and Kindred already having a lot of damage in that matchup as well.
We're also going to track the marks from Xiaolongbao. Remember that the Kindred we've seen in the past, I think the best one has been Kanavi from JDG. For Xiaolongbao, showing us here what it's going to be all about. A Xiao who drops a deep ward up towards Raptors, but is spotted out there, moving as well.
You know, going back to the rune talk, actually I would prefer SOFM to go towards something like the Conqueror.
We don't see many Predator Trundles doing.
No, and I just don't feel like it's very necessary unless you have some lanes that you really need to be getting into early. And on the side of Suning, you don't. The only lane you could really look towards is that mid lane, and you're going to have a fine time getting there regardless of Predator or not.
Especially with good pillar placement, you can't just punch away. The slow that comes through is going to be so obnoxious to deal with anyway. We've seen PTA as well on some Trundles too. So.
Yep, PTA a lot more about the early skirmishing on Trundle.
But I also want to point out Huanfeng with the lethal tempo Ezreal. That we kind of dropped off. When we did see a couple of Ezreals, we went back to Conqueror for quite a while. Deft was the person who brought it out in the LCK at the start of this split, so where we're impressed.
It gives you a bit stronger lane presence because you know you don't need to stack it up to 10 like you do with Conqueror. So just getting in there with quick short trades, getting that burst of movement, attack speed, and it still scales pretty well into the late game. So
makes it easier to CS for sure though. SOFM going towards the Scuttle Crab where Xiaohu is like, I'm trying to save your mark, Kindred. Shield of Durand's going to come through and means there will be a trade. And speaking of trades, we look towards the bottom side. Huanfeng in a bit of a pickle. Min coming in later than never as SOFM not going to steal away the mark. And now with this, I mean, he's just called out. 1, 2, and 3. Does he die? Xiaohu says yes. First blood for RNG.
The confusing part is that Angel and SOFM were not on the same page at all. Angel had so much time to react and move over to that river skirmish and just kind of give a zoning presence to make sure that SOFM could get away. Decided not to do that, completely ignores it and just recalls.
And with that first blood, that goes over to the Galio in the mid lane, who has Predator, who can roam. And Xiaolongbao gets the mark, he steals it away, goes back and gets the skirmishing smite with a longsword early on.
And when we talked about that one of the only lanes you'll really be able to look for ganks is this mid lane, it's really going to shut you out with Xiaohu already getting some gold under his belt, getting one step closer to these later stage team fights. And I really like the composition RNG has for these straight up 5v5s. It will come out ahead over Suning.
And after that, you can see Langxing goes in for a bit of an invade, drops a ward on the red buff. And again, for RNG, their early vision has been really good towards Suning. They've been tracking SOFM pretty well.
Yep. But just kind of setting up what teams want to do right now. SOFM can look for that top lane. We said it's always an option in the early stages of the game before Longxing gets tanky. I guess you do have the ultimate no matter what, so even when he does get some tank stats under his belt, you can do that. And RNG, since they have the superior scaling, just really want to play disruption, match SOFM wherever he goes, and get yourself to the late game 5v5s where you will be superior.
What they're doing right now, going in for the quick camp steal on the Raptors. Shalambao with a bit of a CS lead in the jungle as well, and the level lead for now, while SOFM is relegated towards Crux.
Going to take the blasting plan and get out of there. So I like what Shalangbao's doing now, just going to go back into his own jungle, keep farming it up, and the big question will be who's going to take that first Drake. RNG right now have all the pressure other than top lane, so you would expect it to be them at some point.
And this is just so annoying. We're just watching Xiaohu constantly shove and move. Doesn't even need Predator. Oh, okay, 3 HP was a bit of a risque play, but it is secured by SOFM in the end.
Now, Suning just going to reset. They actually don't have a lot of options on what they could do right now with SOFM getting shut out so early.
Okay, Xiaohu, Justice Punch not going to land here. Good trade by Angel. But I mean, that's all it's going to be. You're not going to kill him just yet. Ming even roaming up as well with a bit of freedom in the bottom lane, while Betty is farming under turret in the bot side itself.
And I like this, the members of RNG just helping Xiaohu push that wave and get that recall, so going to be able to get through relatively safe, but ooh, not even going to recall. Just going to set up vision for this dragon.
They're moving as a unit towards the Scuttle, but Scuttle's already taken away to deny the mark from Shalambao. I want to correct myself. Shalambao actually has 2 because he marked SOFM in the early game to pick that up. And SOFM has been doing a good job of denying the marks to be given over to this Kindred. But no Dragon play just yet, as you're mentioning. We're just resetting and clearing.
And RNG going for the complete opposite, actually having Longxing just TP right back up to the top lane. So right now, Suning do have a TP advantage, but with Longxing picking up the Bramble Vest, it's going to be really tough for him to actually be able to do anything.
Don't forget, we've got double TP as well, with Angel having that in his summoner choice. Xiaohu went for the heal in this lane, but of course you got Predator, you got Ultimate. He also has a Kindle Gem after picking up First Blood a little bit earlier in the game. And Shalambao now in the bottom lane, once again with the Lamb's Respite. But Suning just back away.
You're Ezreal Tahm Kench. It doesn't matter if the enemy jungle comes to your lane. You're going to be able to get out just fine.
It's always a really fun interacting lane down there. Well, Kindred says, screw it, I'm starting Dragon.
Like for RNG, ooh, actually, let's ignore RNG.
Bin has ultimate. We talked about the teleport advantage. Well, if Bin gets a kill here, he might be okay as Longxing pops the ulti. He wants to kill Bin. He's getting pretty close here with a sapling in the brush, but damage not going to be as hard as anything as the ultimate entrance from Xiaohu. Just turns that play upside down.
And I love this from RNG, using their mid pressure to pretty much win out on both sides of the map. Shalambao just going for the neutral on bot side, and Suning don't have the damage to win out in the top lane, so Xiaohu just able to follow up easily a kill and Drake. Going to be really hard for Suning to find any options going forward.
Another kill for this Galio, who's now got a bounty on his head as well. So Xiaohu is a big unit to walk into this first game. You talk about the Dragon there. Cloud's coming up next as well. As Shalambao wants to take it all. It's onto the Herald now.
And Suning are the ones that are on a timer, so they're the ones who really need this Rift Herald.
Yeah.
RNG getting here first is massive, and Suning not even recognizing that play soon enough. They aren't even able to get any play goal, their extra CS onto Huanfeng.
Xiaohu's sticking in the top lane meanwhile, and Betty just moves to the mid himself. You talked about this timer. I mean, the way RNG are playing, you'd think that they're the ones who have to make the move. They're the ones who actually have to get this game rolling, but just control, calm, and knowing your opponent here, it seems.
And this is what we've always seen of RNG, is that whenever they have pressure, they use it.
Yep.
The problem is we see them a lot of times use it in the wrong ways, where maybe, like this game, Xiaohu will go up top lane and look for a pick helping out Longxing, but at the same time, Shalambao will be invading the enemy bot side jungle. So very good at recognizing that they have windows, but not always right with how they should be using them.
And just simple coordination of Shalambao, like not overstepping as well. It's not necessarily about being on the wrong side of the map, but just playing with his team more and being more coordinated, I should say, to summarize.
And for RNG, I just want to see them keep doing what they're doing. Just keep controlling around the mid lane and playing for these neutral objectives. It's not necessarily about getting a gank off on either side. You can get in the enemy jungle and look to abuse the Trundle. But as long as you're controlling neutrals, you come out ahead.
And now along the top side, I mean, they're controlling the members of Suning as SOFM see Shalambao. He's still a level behind here. And with Xiaohu and Predator, I mean, he's just going to walk for this dive.
Angel needs to be ready to TP if RNG commit to a dive, but they do have Herald, so maybe they don't even need to commit, just drop Herald and look for plates as a team.
SOFM's used Predator as well, to be noted. As Herald now comes down, the poke through here as well. The winds of war from Xiaohu, and it really is going to be a war as they turn onto SOFM. The pillar's out. He uses the ultimate, and the subjugate's giving him a bit of health, but teleport used on the turret. Angel not going to be able to do anything, but does dismay the dive.
Ultimately a win for RNG, though. You still pick up the plate gold. You pull the TP out from Angel, and now you can look for a similar play in the next minute and a half, and now Angel has no way of following up. The turret's low enough to where maybe at that point you can even look for a dive.
Still lots of turret plating gold available. Betty sticking around. Just one more auto. He just needs to walk up. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. One more to add to the list as well. Big Varus coming up for you as well with the way this game's gone. And Xiaohu returns to the mid wave with Dragon up in a minute 52.
And for Suning, one of the tough things about Trundle is he just feels so useless from behind.
Yeah.
You don't really provide any sort of CC that can help your teams other than Pillar for disengage, but still, RNG have so much engage on their side, will still be easy to get on top of them. Trundle not able to duel, being so far behind the enemy Kindred, and Suning really relying on Angel creating some kind of crazy pick, maybe giving up pressure in mid lane and trying to get a pick onto Betty, but when you have Chains of Corruption coming up soon, heal still up, Ming still has exhaust, and he's a Braum overall. Going to be really hard to find that pick anyway.
Plus, if Shalom Bal's nearby as well, the Lamb's Respite just ruins an Assassin's Day.
And you always get pushed in, so
yep.
Even if Angel did want to look for a play like that, he's going to have to give up 1-2 waves of not only gold, but CS, maybe give Xiaohu an opportunity to pick up some plates, so really no good options on the side of Suning. So RNG have done such a good job at starting this off just from those early invades around the topside jungle.
It doesn't feel like an 800 gold lead. It feels like more the way RNG are playing here. I noticed that Shalom Bell in the last play on Gromp picked up 3 marks, so he's 1 away from getting that 75 attack range, plus emphasizing this Kindred attack speed from Dance of Arrows. As blue buff still is just another thing on the list. Again, it doesn't feel like RNG are this small amount of gold ahead, as Suning are losing out more.
Realistically, with how their compositions play out, does feel a lot more like RNG or 2.5k up. And even with Longxing's TP coming back up, RNG are going to be able to force on bot lane with anything they want. They could try to look for a dive here. They could just start the dragon right away. Doesn't matter. Longxing will be able to cover them, and Bin can't follow.
And Angel's sitting on a ward, so yet again we talk about Angel moving and trying to get some of the first down on either of these carries, but with so many members of RNG sticking around, this is difficult.
Nope, if you're Suning, you just have to give this one up and look to fight another day. And despite the fact that it does feel like Suning's comp is on a timer, with the Wukong pretty much being shut out of this game, not going to be able to do much against Longxing. Trundle as well feels pretty useless, especially since he has the Predator, so that's not going to be useful at all in the later stages. LeBlanc is behind. You at least still can rely on Huangfeng's Ezreal if it can get up to a big point, but you have such a good front line on the side of RNG. I'm not sure if Ezreal can even cut past that. Not even I'm not sure. He can't.
He can't. It's kind of funny that we are relying on someone like Huangfeng, the Ezreal, as we look at the trade mid, the 80 carry who came through over Weiwei. Remember how this season started for Suning? The 80 carry of this team was the jungler from the end of last year, after their super team shattered apart and failed to get anywhere in playoffs.
That's, something we can talk about is Longxing has played with a few members of this team. He's played with Angel. He's played with Sword Art. A lot of people might not know this, but Fury is still a part of Suning. He's actually on the coaching staff. Of course, he was one of the people who actually qualified to the LPL.
I guess you call it founding members of Suning, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
with Yoon as his support.
Yep, with Yoon. I remember we had a Fun in there first. Hacker was there.
Yep. It was a while ago for Suning. We actually did a segment when we had the e-commerce war. I think it was 2017 spring where we first saw Suning, or summer.
It was 2017 LSPL was where they got their start.
Yes.
Won the LSPL and qualified in summer of that year.
I remember JDG bought their slot through, and then Suning qualified. And they came in at a very similar time. But Suning, I mean, if you talk about their success in the season, this is kind of where they've been for a while now, even with their super team last year.
At least in summer, they kind of brought things together. But
yeah.
Going back to what's happening, I love how RNG are playing around these neutrals. They time their back spot lane so well, perfectly getting here when Herald spawns. They already had topside vision from the pressure that Xiaohu and Longxing had. And this is just what RNG need to keep doing. Just keep controlling neutrals, keep looking for invades on the enemy jungle. You don't have a lot of ganks set up anywhere, but you're slowly creating this large gold lead. Only 3-4 minutes ago, we were at 500. Now we're out at about 2,000.
Also, just through the jungle as well. Remember, every time this happens, Xiaolong Bao is picking up the CS from it as well. And Xiaolong Bao is going to be a very big kindred with Warriors already completed. Plus the gold you were mentioning before, RNG pick up the first turret of the game up in that top side.
I love it, too, because RNG have kind of picked up this signature comp that Suning were running a lot. Of course, Suning were doing 4 tanks with an 80 carry. So I love that RNG adapted it to playing this Kindred instead, having this dual threat, but still offering a ton of durability with that ultimate.
I mean, the Galio is like a signature pick of Angel. That and Twisted Fate, you'd say here for the mid laner of Suning. As there is no damage being done. The thumbs go up from Longxing, who will just heal that away anyway. Even Xiaolong Bao looking to shadow here on the bottom side. Doesn't
even matter that Longxing doesn't have really any MR other than that Null Magic Mantle. He's just so far ahead and so tanky, and Angel only sitting on the Luden's Echo doesn't have the damage to take him down. And I love it. Longxing knows, hey, I just sit under my turret. Nothing can happen to me. I'm fine.
I love how it's Longxing versus his ult team, but he doesn't really play the significant role yet. If you want to call it the carry role, rather.
He's actually in lane against someone he was on the same team with, so it's awesome. Angel not able to do anything. Longxing just taunting him. Would have been nice to see him spam an emote or something.
Hey, he threw out the thumbs up. I think that's good enough. As RNG hovering around the mid lane. You can see Dragon's up in a minute 30. Just controlling vision for now. We talk more about the controlled play of RNG. I think this is a good sign. If we see this form of RNG consistently, this is clean. This is controlled. This is the RNG that goes into a best of 5 and gives you a bit more than the inconsistencies as of late.
It's also the frustrating thing about RNG is, me and you have been talking a lot about this the past week, is it doesn't seem like there's any like consistent factor to, well, if RNG can't get this thing or can't do this, they lose.
Yeah.
It's always something different. It's always a different member kind of falling apart in their games.
Because like, if we had Uzi on this roster, do you remember Uzi at playoffs? It's like RNG put everything into the bottom lane. They put Xiaohu on a support like the Karma, the Lulu. And people go, oh, that's the problem with RNG. But you're right, on this roster here, nothing really changes to give us a clear indication. Maybe now in the middle of this fight, we'll get an answer as we look towards SOFM, who's in the middle towards the blue buff, has to flush away. Xiaolong Bao is just too far ahead. Longxing TP's in. Suning maybe wanted to force out a summoner, but they had to use theirs.
They're just too far behind at this point. Longxing TPing in, but SOFM loses flash. A TP coming up from Longxing is going to give Bin some opportunity to take this turret up in the top side, and Longxing is losing out on some XP. Actually, he's not losing out on XP because he's in the bottom.
He's a Malco, who cares anyway. Bin has Triforce. Maybe if he was in that fight, it'd be different, but okay, let's get the push mid. And RNG on the outskirts of yet another turret.
And that pillar was funny. But now RNG can just turn right towards Dragon, and there's nothing Suning can do. But no one's starting a recall to answer in topside. It's just giving Bin more free gold and more free experience. Yeah,
he'll get this as well. In a turret going to go down versus the Mountain, and Mountain Soul on the horizon here for the 3 tanks of RNG. But at least Bin's getting gold here. At least there is something to talk about in Suning in this game. I know you were mentioning Huan Feng and getting towards that later stage, but can't hit through the tanks. I mean, Bin, at least in the next couple of minutes, will be able to do something.
I was just going to say, I feel like now the fact that it's Mountain Soul, there isn't a lot of hope for Suning, because if they do start stacking those up, you just really have no one who's able. And it's like, maybe people are thinking, oh, but they have a Trundle, right? They're going to be able to steal those resistances. It doesn't matter. They just have too many tanky frontline members. They have so much consistent DPS with 280 carries. And even Xiaohu's doing a pretty decent amount of damage to maybe where he would be relatively if this game was in an even state. So Suning just won't have the damage to deal with it if they are able to pick up Mountain Soul. Even just picking up one Mountain Drake
is enough. I mean, 6%, even though Mountain Soul I know is an OP, is still a pain to deal with. Plus just the Mountain Dragons itself. 6% MR and armor is actually quite a lot on something like a Malco.
That's what I'm saying, because we don't think of it as something that's very OP, but it's very comp dependent, not only what you're playing, but what you're also playing against.
Yeah.
You're playing against a LeBlanc, you're playing against a Wukong, and sure, he's going to have, actually he didn't even go Black Cleaver, so not going to be able to cleave down that armor. His damage falls off in the late game as well.
We're looking towards those damage items on the side of Angel. Angel has the Luden's Echo, the needlessly large rod. I'm comparing here against Xiaohu because Xiaohu has the Zhonya's Hourglass already. Xiaohu got this early lead, and all he's had to do is farm, move across the map with the rest of RNG, and he's in a very good position.
This is what I love, too, because RNG didn't need to look for ganks this game, was something we'd already mentioned. They could just keep playing around Dragon and Herald timers. They've done that so well. We're at 20 minutes and we have 2 kills, but it's felt like a very dominating performance from RNG so far, and it all came from that level, what was it, level 3 river play where Xiaohu cheekily waited in the brush just to make sure that Kanavi can get the mark.
It's like it's cut the confidence from Suning here in this early game, and it's like the threat of Xiaohu now, the realization is there that the only person who's kind of willing to make a riskier play has been towards split pushing top lane here. We'll see what changes, because we got that Mountain Soul on the horizon. Surely Suning say, enough is enough. We can't let them have this.
It feels like it'll be really tough for them to look for that. At this point, with Bin being your strongest member, again, he does have that Triforce.
Is Sword Art just dead? Chain's corruption there. The Grey Hell's going to come through. Here's the hero's entrance. Xiaohu says, I'm on my way. Flashes in the middle. He's only going to get one, but the threat is there. Sword Art is dead. TP coming through. It's Bin who has Cyclone, but he's exhausted. Xiaohu for the re-engage. Shield of Duran. And he doesn't die. We don't even have Mountain Soul yet. Still doesn't die.
Yeah, so Sword Art goes down, but being able to get a lot of summoners from the side of RNG is still pretty decent. You do still have 2 teleports up on your side, so you can try and create some pressure in a side lane and pull RNG around the map, but once that ultimate comes back up on Galio, you're still going to have very easy ways of punishing side lane aggression from Suning.
At least they get some damage down onto Betty, but they're so hard to push waves. The wave clear available from this forest, from the Kindred and Maokai combined in this early stage as well. So Suning try. They're going to back off in the end, though. We go back to resetting the game state again towards this Dragon in 1 minute 40.
And you would expect that RNG can just stack mid as a 4 or 5 man unit, walk into that river first and set up vision relatively fine. Right now, Xiaohu is setting up that side wave to push, so someone on Suning is going to have to answer that, you know, in about 30 seconds. So going to give RNG a lot of good timings towards this Dragon.
Before we get to the Dragon, I want to ask you, where did you rank Suning at the start of the season?
So before Demacia Cup, maybe like 6th or 7th. After Demacia Cup, I had them like 14th or 15th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you can't judge Demacia Cup, but my problem with Suning was not even weight, was how uncoordinated they looked in team fights.
Yeah.
And you cannot be a team that can't play out team fights or skirmishes well in the LPL.
That's why watching a team, like, not on a name basis is always important. E-Star's a great example of that, right? Where SOFM came into this team and I thought, oh, 7th for sure. They right now do not look like a playoff team, and that's because they're already out of playoffs. They're 12th at the moment. This is about making a statement, upsetting RNG. Here in front of the Dragon with 30 seconds to go, you can see that the pressure's still there. Shalom still forcing the issue. And there's just control on all elements here. Bottom lane reacted to Maokai walking mid now.
For Suning, you really need to find some sort of pick onto Betty. Angel needs to be able to get on top of him.
Well, maybe now with the LeBlanc here, Betty gets poked out a little bit as Xiaohu finds the engage. 5 members mid now is Lungshing here as well with the ultimate available. Xiaohu gets poked down as Bin comes in with a great flank, but the Kindred ulti is down, and with the Lambs Respite used, the hill comes through, chains of corruption, and the hero's entrance is going to ruin their day. Goodbye, Huan Fong, and Sword Art will drop as well, while the rest of RNG just don't stop chasing.
And RNG actually don't even need to go for this Dragon. They could just head over towards the Baron.
Oh my god, that's an assassin Maokai on top of Angel. He doesn't die, which is by shy of hitting Angel in the end as well. They're going for SOFM. They're so confident at this point because Suning are doing nothing. They don't even have a kill.
What can they do though, Hysterics? They don't have many avenues into this game. They tried their best. We actually saw Bin get off a really good flank in that team fight. Angel was off to the side, zoning out Betty the whole time, but still you drop the Lamb's Respite, you have the Galio ultimate to follow up, and then you have all the members of Suning in front of you. You just win.
We said for Bin, I mean, coming in with the Wukong flank, it was promising. He has Death Dance and Tiamat, by the way. But at the end of the day, 6-0 is the scoreline. I see an almost 4K gold lead here for RNG. Watch this fight again because it went for a while.
And the important thing to keep our eyes on is Bin. He is coming from behind looking for this flank. Gets in there with the ultimate, but Xiaolongbao opening up the Lambs despite no one able to really follow up and get in there. And Angel can't get on Betty, positioning very well behind. And now all the members of RNG just jump in. And we see how much damage Xiaolongbao does, just queuing forward. And Longxing as well, just running, like you said, the kind of assassin Maokai that he is.
He's 0-0-4 up in that top lane. Now has the Spirit Visage. Getting even harder to kill as in that replay, Mountain Soul has been secured. Lyric. It begins.
So shield is big now. At this point, it is going to be about RNG creating vision in the enemy jungle, looking for picks, and then starting Baron. You don't want to leave it up to some kind of cheeky steal that SOFM can find.
Also want to note that Xiaolongbao, in the recency of that play, now has 5 marks. So the extra 75 range is there now for the Kindred. As you can see already, quite large and in charge. Walking forward into the LeBlanc. Lambs Respite. I don't know if it's available. We got the Mercedes graphic up. Can we bring that down? I need to see the ultimates.
We don't care about the ultimates here. What we care about is that Longxing actually controlling sidewaves pretty well, which has been one of our criticisms of Longxing this split. But ooh, he's looking for an
well, we do have the Lambs Respite. Chains of Corruption, though, in that choke. Wow. They run forward. RNG corrupt the minds of the innocent Suning. 7th kill of the game. That pick you're talking about now down.
Yeah, that's great. They got it right onto the member they needed. SOFM down means they can head over to that Baron. I love their patience they exercise by just controlling the vision and trying to create the picks, but Angel coming in with a TP.
All right, what can the flank do? It's double TP. In fact, this has been as well, right into the middle of the pit as Longxing zones away. Sword Art. Angel now spotted out, goes on in, but poked on down. Dodges away from the piercing arrow, but Bin's still not in yet as well. Remember that Lamb's Spite is still available, but they're going to find Bin with the taunt here from Xiaohu. To knock up the damage, it's secured. As Ming survives yet again. The poke on Bin. Is he just going to die? Yes, from Betty. 8-0, Baron secured. RNG are spanking Suning here in this first game.
Yeah, Xiaohu just coming in with this ultimate, adding some more zoning pressure with that W. They are able to get Angel off the Baron, then very easy for them to find a kill onto Bin on the back end.
Well, we wanted to see a good RNG. I think we're there. But consistency's key.
I was going to say, this team is so frustrating, I'm sure not only for me, but for all the fans out there, because look at this dominant game. Their last series, they got 2-0'd by DMO. Before that, they had a pretty convincing win over LNG 2-0.
Yep.
Before that was the mess against Rogue Warriors, which you casted. So
geez,
I don't need to describe that one to you.
That was a literal nightmare where Rogue Warriors 2 won them. And so you're right. It's so back and forth.
And think about it. Even recently, we saw them dominate E-Star. 2-0. They ran the same comp back twice in a row. It was the Elise Renekton special. Really snowballed early game against E-Stars both games.
Okay, Longxing doing the same thing. But you're right, you just can't pick it. And now against Suning, suddenly, you know, easy looking top 4 team. Top 8 at the very least is what they are.
Yep. They look really convincing in this win, and they've been so good at being able to get an advantage and then snowball that all the way through. The only times we've seen that struggle is when they do draft these more early game compositions like Elise Renekton.
Xiaohu not going to get the justice punch, but he flashes over the wall. SOFM, oh, he's dead. Good night, sir. 3-0 and 4 on Xiaolongbao. I don't know why he died. Chains Corruption was used, but doesn't connect. Onto the inhibitor. RNG say, let's make this under 30 minutes, boys.
And if you're Huanfeng, you actually haven't even gotten to play this game.
Yeah, at all. Mini Ezreal, he's zoned on back, and Angel gets hit on back as well. The flash forward. Xiaolongbao puts down the Lambs Respite. In goes Bin with a good ulti again, but it's in the middle of the Kindred ulti. The double cyclone doesn't even get the full fruition here. As RNG continue forward, deathless. 2 turrets in this game. That's all they've got. The hero's entrance yet again. As RNG have sent them back to the fountain, the second Nexus turret, this is easy with a clap on the end. 11 looking to get their first kill is Suning, but even at the fountain, they can't do it. Pretty much a victorious game, you'd say.